This is Ryan here.
And this is other Ryan here.
Hey everyone, Razbowski here.
What's going on, guys? Dorko here.
And welcome back to once again another episode of Theory Thursday. And in this one, we're going to be talking about our histories with Five Nights at Freddy's as a whole. Throughout this video, we're going to be talking about all four of the games in chronological order and kind of our impressions when we first encountered them. Because as the games went on, they really did develop, and wow, some of the stuff that Scott has introduced has really wowed us. So we'll start at Five Nights at Freddy's 1.
Yeah, so in the previous episode, we actually talked about our personal histories with Five Nights at Freddy's. But like Ryan said, we're just going to be discussing pretty much how we reacted to each game as it came out. And I think
and the characters as we've seen them, sort of thing.
I think, well, the first game, that was the, I don't know, make or break, I guess, game. And you could definitely know that it made it pretty much. And I think it was interesting with all the characters and their kind of like features and their game mechanics. But what I found the most intriguing about Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was the Golden Freddy Easter egg, because I remember actually experiencing it one time. I looked over at my brother, I said, is this meant to be happening? And there was like a Golden Freddy, like, what's that? And then it crashed my game, and yeah, that just took me by surprise, that one did, definitely.
Yeah, it's like when you once you finish with the gameplay on the games, that's when we all start to discover the backstory, the change in newspapers and everything like that. So that's when the love for the game increased just an extra tenfold, because the gameplay itself was fantastic. It was original, and the jump scares themselves were terrifying. But having all the backstory included in as well, and the first time you're playing the game, you don't really pay attention to the phone calls as much. I certainly didn't. I was like, fuck, I'm going to be playing the game here, and it's going to be pretty scary. But going back and re-listening to the phone calls, adding this to the newspaper articles as well, then tried to create an amazing back.
The things what you two said about the story and Golden Freddy as well, it was interesting because I remember a lot of people kept playing the game to see if there was anything else in the game. Was there going to be some more articles? Was there going to be some more Easter eggs? And there was a few. There was one in the back room when all the heads look at you as well. That was really cool. And oh god, I remember the times of the Sparky situation when someone photoshopped that so everyone was looking for it, and then it was fake. So
turned out to be a hoax.
Troll.
It's as you guys said as well, it's all these new things that got introduced, and I think one of the things which really intrigued me was the changing picture. I think it was in the West Hall or the East Hall where Freddy is. A picture. I remember seeing the picture of Golden Freddy, and I didn't know what to think of that. And I think then with the custom nights and things like that, when people heard about this bite of 87, people were trying this 1987 thing. And then this Golden Freddy Easter egg was introduced with when you put 1987 as the character's custom night AI levels. And I think that grabbed a lot of people's attention, and that was kind of the starting point for when the lore factor really kicked in. And this moves nicely onto Five Nights at Freddy's 2, because we then saw Golden Freddy again, and we saw a lot of newer animatronics introduced as well.
I think the thing about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is that, because obviously Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was such a big hit and such a success, I think it put a little bit of pressure on Scott, because he probably never had that kind of success in his life before that happened. So to him, it's like all eyes were on him, and he really did deliver, because the whole purple guy was introduced. And the best thing about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is that it leaves it open-ended as well, so it kind of makes more room for more games like we've already played. And I don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, like we said in previous episodes, is definitely the best for the storyline behind it.
I just love the fact that we got all these new animatronics, even though they were the toy versions of them, so they were still Freddy, Chica, etc. But just added more backstory. We were set before the previous game, because it was obviously a prequel set in 1987, and this is where we got all the juicy story that we're basing still a lot of theories off today. That's the main game for storyline, and it forever will be known as that one. Whether it was through the phone calls, whether it was through the mini games. That's when he introduced the death Easter egg mini games, which was a great idea. It meant that game frustrated me, because that's the one that I died the most on. But it rewarded my failure with these sweet mini games as well. And I still use the mini games, referencing them in most theories. And every week I think pretty much reference those Five Nights at Freddy's 2 games.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest twists in FNAF 2 is what Raz said, it's a prequel. I remember with the teasers and the start of the game, the new animatronic, something borrowed, something new. Everybody thought it was going to be a sequel until the end, which I thought was really cool. So, biggest twist for me.
Added some big twists. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention the puppet. That's one thing I'm super surprised on, because when the puppet was introduced, I think that character gave literally a tremendous amount of backstory because of the fact that the phone guy was very weary about it, and also the same with Foxy. He started to develop this kind of connection with him. He'll kind of talk about, if you like, it could be a crush, but well, he was withered, so he may have been crushed. But moving on, it was kind of this kind of nature with the animatronics. It seemed like the phone guy had a deeper connection with them, which in turn actually allowed the audience to engage more. And then when the puppet came along and people started to realize these little things, like the puppet isn't actually an animatronic and it's floating around this establishment. As you said, we had the death mini games. The story literally piled on top, and it became some really in-depth thing, and it was really interesting. And as you guys say, I think Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was probably the best one for creating the lore factor behind it.
Yeah, the fact as well, the cutscenes as well in FNAF 2, the puppet was in that as well. So it showed that the puppet was in the FNAF 1 location, which was really interesting.
And we even saw that Golden Freddy character stood up
as well,
even though everyone thought no one was inside it, which it just proved a lot of things. And it was tying the two games together once again, which again moves nicely on to the third game, which is Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This one was very mixed, wasn't it, in opinions from people?
I think the first impressions we got definitely was that the first ever facial showing, like properly, like half-face, was that I'm Still Here on Scott Games.
Yes.
And I think everyone believed that that was Golden Freddy, and I personally believe that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was going to be based around Golden Freddy and why we see Golden Freddy and why he, he's perceived to be this hallucination, such a big character in this game. And the moment you see the trailer and you see this like withered Bonnie, it's like, what the hell is this? What's going on? And it kind of just like boggles your mind like even further. Like, okay, I thought this was meant to be answering questions, not providing more. Kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's 4, I guess, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was during watching the trailer and seeing Springtrap move in that fashion was absolutely fantastic, because you as soon as you looked at that, you thought somebody's in that suit. That suit's not moving like an animatronic would. It's too jittery. It was too lifelike almost. And that just built the hype, and that set the hype up for the storyline, which the storyline, we obviously had the massive reveal that the Purple Man is actually dead and he's inside the suit, which is just great for the storyline wise. And that was the main thing I loved about that game. Yeah. Also, the ending. Oh, so sad.
One of the most deepest things ever. I've got to agree.
It was really sad. I think that's my favorite of the four games. The end in that one.
Yeah. For a favorite, I think the best trailer out of all four games was the FNAF 3 trailer, because it put a lot of work into that. You could tell it was a teaser trailer. It didn't show really any gameplay until the end, which I really liked. It was really nice to see cutscenes, and I just loved it. It was the biggest hyped trailer from all four games.
Yeah. I like the fact as well that he left quite a lot of time between the teaser trailer and the release of the game. It left a lot of time to look deep into these things, and it almost, like, as a media student as well, and I think other Ryan can vouch for me here too, it felt like all of the camera moves they signified something. They always tried to deliver some form of information. They weren't just put there to look pretty or something like that, and it really achieved that. And again, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, I think a lot of people really looked past the factor that it was probably one of the most important games for connecting the dots. The phone calls actually revealed an awful lot of the story, and the mini games did too. I think that, alongside FNAF 2, was probably one of the most theorizable games, if that's a word. And as you say, the reveal of Springtrap, things like that. I think, as Ryan said, with the I'm Still Here thing, we all thought it was Golden Freddy, and it was when we saw his silhouette stood next to the box. Everyone started to think, hang on, he's a bit slimmer. And we had things like the smile. We started to see the purple guy had this massive smile. The connection started to immerse, and it was a very deep game when you look at it. And whilst the gameplay was a lot different, Scott had to experiment, try and put some new things out there. I personally enjoyed it because it was different. But the story was still there, which I think is possibly, by the third game, that was the most important factor of it. And now we end up in the present day. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 has, of course, been out for just over a month now, I believe. And we've had some time to play it. We've got our thoughts on it. So, Ryan, what's your thoughts? And when you first saw it, wow, what was you thinking?
When I first saw Five Nights at Freddy's 4, the trailer, I think we was all confused to believe that it may have been free roam due to, obviously, like, seeing the plush trap game along with the room and that. I don't know, but it still didn't disappoint, because when I played it, it was like, they're probably the best mechanics in a Five Nights at Freddy's game today.
Very original,
out of the lot, definitely. And I don't know, I think what makes the game so great is that it's still making us ask more questions as well. For example, the whole Fredbear and Friends 1983, that's literally divided the community into thinking that what we're seeing is the bite of 1983, not the bite of 1987, and you know, that kind of makes a horrible clash. But I don't know, it's like, I think it's good to have debate in there, and I think that's what Scott wanted. He didn't want answers, he just wanted debate and theories almost.
Yep.
From like a marketing sense, it's like the most genius way to do it is if you have got conflict, you have got arguments, and you have got unanswered questions, then it's going to keep a franchise alive. And he did need to do that, because there is a big wait until the Halloween comes out. We've still got a couple of months now, and whatever he's planning on that date, he wants the community to keep it alive and to keep the debate going, which is very, very sensible. But my first impressions were when we got that image on scottgames.com of Nightmare Freddy. When we looked at that guy and he was there, and you were like, what the hell is this?
We thought it was Spring Freddy, didn't we?
The game, man.
Yeah.
We thought it was Spring Freddy because it was like...
We all thought that, didn't we? Because it had five fingers.
Yeah, and we were like, oh my god, this must be the other Sue. But then there was Bonnie, and it
Bonnie
crazy.
And then they all came. They all have 5 fingers,
and they just kept getting better and better as we went on. And the trailer was exciting as well. And then Plush Trap came along, and we were like, what is Scott doing with this game?
The Plush Trap.
What is he creating? How is he going to tie it all together? And he actually did a really good job of showing how these nightmare animatronics existed, because we were debating this for months, weren't we? About how has somebody created these animatronics? Are these animatronics real? Are they just a hallucination and stuff? But he did a great job of tying the story line together with them and kind of answering the whole who did the bite. But now, as Ryan said, we've got the whole 83 or 87 thing. But I love debate. Life would be boring if everything was just on a straight line and it was easy for us to solve.
Yeah, the only solved question we got really was the bite, exactly. But we've got mysteries from the Purple Man again. Why is Purple Man there? Fredbear and Friends. The box as well. That's one of the biggest things as well. What we're talking about lately, is the box going to be solved October? Is it going to be solved in the next 10 years? We don't know.
Whatever's in that box, though, it just, it makes you think, because Scott has put a tweet out saying that he might be making something a little bit different, and it would be really nice, actually. I've just been thinking about this. If he made a totally unique game that's somehow tied also into the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, not as we know Five Nights at Freddy's. Maybe, we don't have to play it the typical way. It might have a totally new kind of a mechanic or something like that. That would be nice. But in terms of when I first saw the game, I think the hype was just insane. Like, after Five Nights at Freddy's 3, and that went crazy, I remember doing an all-nighter on that, and it took me about 4 hours to beat Night 5, 4 grueling hours.
Ouch.
And then Five Nights at Freddy's 4 came out, and it's just the sound mechanics. It was a totally different playing field. I mean, he added the Springtrap talking, and that was kind of like almost... you could say it's a reference towards how the game might have gone, but... I think it took everyone by surprise, because we thought there'd be different locations around the house, as we said, and then we realised we were just in the one room. At first, I kind of thought, this looks a bit too minimalistic. How will this keep us busy? It kept us more than busy, to be honest, and it was probably one of the most difficult games out there, because you had to really keep a good structure to how you was going to do things. You'd go to the closet, go check the Freddy's, and then you'd have 2 footsteps, and it's pretty much bang, mind-blowing. It's hard.
The Fredbear made it mix like different as well, you know, because it was a surprise as well. Night 4, oh god, Night 4, how's that? Night 5, how's that gonna play? Holy crap, what's Fredbear doing here? Where's everybody gone?
Because you're expecting it to be the same. You're expecting to look behind you and see the Freddles, but all you hear is this running going from one ear to the other. You're like, what the hell is that? And obviously, because we were playing it before, like as the game was coming out, so we hadn't seen any other people's videos on it. We didn't even know how to do it. I panicked. I struggled for ages to get past that night because I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do here?
And then at night 6 as well, when it gets to 4 a.m, you didn't know the first time. You're like, hang on, there's that running again, and you don't know what you should do because you know you shine the light, you're gonna die if the animatronics right there, but you have to actually do the exact opposite, pretty much, of what you was doing before. It was a crazy game, and it's still enjoyable for that single aspect really today, just the variation in gameplay. So there we have it, guys. That was a lovely discussion on the history of Five Nights at Freddy's. We do hope you did enjoy it, and be sure to comment down below any of your thoughts in relation to any of the games and the topics discussed within this video.
And if you guys did enjoy this video, why not leave a like rating down below? And if you're new to any of our channels, why not subscribe for more interesting videos like this and also the gameplay videos.
So thank you very much for watching the video, guys. We do hope you did enjoy, and we'll, of course, see you on the next one on all of our channels.
Goodbye, guys.